Good evening and welcome to the 2020 Economic Recession and Preparation channel. I'm your host T. Thank you for joining us today on the weekend edition to December 14th, 2019. So it appears that the Fed Reserve has left rates unchanged for the remainder of the year. I guess they want everyone to have a good holiday Christmas season. The committee left the rates unchanged at its final gathering for the 2019 season, turning the page on an eventful and unexpected year for U.S. monetary policy. Most participants opened the year expecting to raise interest rates at least twice before January 2020. Instead, they slashed the rates 3 times this year in 2019, in a flurry of policy unseen since the economy was thrown into the last recession in 2008. So what a difference a year makes. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell says he sees no need to tinker with rates one last time, and it does not constitute the start of a prolonged easing cycle. Well, we can all debunk that myth because the repo market is still in danger, and the Fed is still pumping over $200 billion into the repo market overnight, lending these banks through the end of the year. So that's going to take its toll on the economy. Elsewhere in financial news, we have the Phase 1 purported deal that the stock market raised over 300 points yesterday, Friday, and trading on news. Now, this is just talks that a Phase 1 deal has been agreed upon. Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, we have nothing in writing. Nothing is in writing. And if it isn't in writing, what do we always say? It does not count. If a contract is not in writing, it did not happen. It did not count. But apparently, the stock market doesn't care. It is surging on this news that a Phase 1 trade deal has been reached, that China was going to hold on to its word, despite the only thing we've been hearing about is this agricultural products, $50 billion to $60 billion of agricultural products that the Chinese are allegedly supposed to buy. They haven't committed to any numbers or anything, but the media is painting this picture as if the deal has already happened when in fact it has not. And this is just Phase 1. Remember, there's like 3 or 4 phases of this Chinese trade deal that we have to watch out for. But we have closer to home, we have extreme bad news. CNBC is reporting that the retail sales rose less than expected, only 0.2% in November. Americans are cutting back on discretionary spending in the fourth quarter. Well, no duh. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a disappointing Black Friday sale, and also we're expecting disappointing Christmas sales. We're about a week and a half away from Christmas, December 25th. In the United States, and it is going to be a mess out here. Stores are reporting less than normal foot traffic, even for the holiday season. Economists had predicted that retail sales will accelerate a 0.5% in November, compared to last November in 2017, where retail sales will increase by 3.3%. So, we have a slowing GDP. GDP growth is now around 1.8%, okay, for the year. We have rising inflation in goods such as food, utilities, energy costs, and other day-to-day necessities that most of us are buying as Americans. We see the increase in that, and we have stagnant wages, and we have interest rates that are plummeting towards 0% next year. Now, this is a recipe for disaster. This is a recipe for a slowing, not only global economy, but a slowing U.S. economy. And we haven't even made it to the 2020 election yet. So it'll be interesting to see how, as we get closer and closer to this U.S. election next year in November 2020, if we even make it there before the economy is officially into a recession, it would be interesting to see how the Federal Reserve next year does their policy. Will they continue to slash rates in 2020 or leave them unchanged? Right now, we're at 1.50 to 1.75% basis points. So we're not far off from getting to that 0% interest rate mark. And I believe we will continue to see the Federal Reserve slash rates into the summer of 2020 And they're going to put it as close to possible as 0% before the election, just to keep this thing going, to keep it going, to keep this dead economy going. Okay, remember, the stock market is not the real economy. The real economy is your day-to-day life. That's what's going to be affected. Okay, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to purchase a house, a car, when you factor in your travel plans for your family, your food prices, especially if you're not growing your own food, you need to look into that. I'm going to be sharing videos with you later on in 2020 about survival videos, sustainability videos, solar power, energy power, water, clean water, how to get clean water, and how to keep clean water, whether you're in an urban environment, a rural environment, or somewhere in between. These are things that we need to be looking at in 2020 and beyond, as this global economy slows, and belt tightening is going to be happening everywhere, in every sector, from the private sector to the public sector to technology and AI. Everything is going to be slowing to a crawl because the economy, with the debt levels and the job growth, is just not going to be there. And most economists predict that in the next 12 to 18 months that we're going to be in a serious, deep recession, if not a depression, because this is going to be longer than 2008. This is going to be a 4 to 5 year type of deal. So prepare for that. Prepare for a 4 to 5 year deal where we have almost no growth and we have a deflation and a cash liquidity shortage. Okay, so cash is going to be king in these first couple of years of this turmoil, as everything vaporizes that is on paper in these stock markets and in other markets. And so that's what we're preparing for. Okay, now holiday season, you can expect the last quarter to be dismal. This last 2 weeks of this year, economic news is not going to change. The stock market will continue to rise. That's what they're going to do to make it look good, because they've been rating this based on this Chinese trade deal. That's the whole talk of the economy, as if the rest of the economy doesn't matter. So we can expect to see stock market continue to surge to 28,000, maybe even 29,000, who knows, before the end of the year. But the underlying problems of the economy is still there. You can't paper over. You can't print your way out of a disaster, impending disaster that's coming here. And also, the U.S. has been slapping sanctions on Iran, economic sanctions on Iran, economic sanctions on countries in South America, as we know, Venezuela, and other turmoil that's going on around the world. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of countries are trying to get off the U.S. dollar being the reserve currency, and that won't happen until after the crash of the U.S. economy, which I believe is still about a year away. So we're looking at the beginning of 2021, after the elections and all of that. Then that's when we're going to have the more severe depression. But we're heading into the recession this coming year, 2020, and that's why rates are going to zero. And that's why you need to start thinking about paying down some of your debt. Okay, I'm not saying all of your debt, but you need to start paying down some of your unsecured debt. You need to start thinking about ways you can grow your own food, even if you're in the city. Just having a little bit of spices, a little bit of vegetables, potatoes, carrots, whatever, will help you go a long way. Because at any time this economy breaks, and this just-in-time delivery system that the United States has, because we import 70% of our food and all of that kind of stuff from other countries, okay, any moment it breaks, then that's going to be time where you're going to be on your own. Okay, you may not be able to access the grocery store as easy. You may not be able to access the bank ATM as easily as we have now, because of everything is tied to these computer systems, and it's really just digital. Okay, money's in thin air. They don't have the paper money available at these banks to give everybody cash on hand. So it's really in the cloud. It's a digital system that we're moving toward, and that's why it's like that. So get prepared the best way you can. You want to definitely avoid crowds, places where there's crowds of people waiting for stuff, waiting for supplies, because the people are going to get impatient as the queues get longer and longer in the United States for goods and necessities. Especially as we head into next year, after the Christmas and after the tax season and the Christmas season, and people are back to paying bills normally and things of that nature. That's when we need to be very looking out, very prepared, be very prepared. That time after the tax season, between February, March, April, that's going to be a critical time for the U.S. economy. And that's not counting any black swan events that we've seen in the UK with Brexit, or with the banks in India and their crisis, or Chinese debt crisis or anything like that blowing up overseas or in the Middle East. Okay, so we're not counting the black swans. So my friends, continue to get prepared, stay strong. Do not shop that much this Christmas. Buy 1 or 2 practical gifts, for the kids and for your family and stuff like that. But don't go crazy taking the trips to Tahiti and all these small islands and whatever you want to do. That's not the time to do it. The time will come when all of this on basement prices, but that time is not right now. That's after the collapse and after the fall, which is going to happen within the next 12 to 18 months. So stay encouraged, and I will see you for the next video. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.